Hello and salut. That is French for hello. Hey guys, welcome back to the Poor Investor. Today we're going to be discussing why Chia's price does matter, and anyone who says it doesn't don't know what they're talking about. So that's what I'm going to make clear right now. About a year ago, the Chia AMA, that was during the time when Gene was hosting everything himself and Bram was on there, and they only had a handful of guys. That's the videos that were talking deep into the white papers about going into IPO, and a lot of little tidbit of information in those videos that we might have overlooked and people are not paying attention to. All right, so I'm gonna bring it back up. I'm gonna resurface it because the internet never forgets, especially YouTube. This is one of the two parts of the white paper discussion that they had. Now, this is the first one, which they had on February 11th. 2021. What I wanted to show you guys and explain is that the price does have a huge factor right now in regards to Chia going IPO and having that strategic reserve, which is the pre-farm, any value to that. And I'm going to let them explain it even better.
So question from the crowd. Can you give us more details on how you plan to use the strategic reserve prior to the IPO? There's a bit of sticker shock for some on the size. So to answer the first part is we're probably not going to do anything with the strategic reserve prior to getting an IPO or whatever equivalent we do. We would like to make sure that we have actively embraced the SEC and chosen a path that they think is comfortable for them. And then we want to kind of answer that question about exactly how we can use the coins once we're a public company, because it's just a very different conversation with the SEC once you're a filed and reporting company. I understand the thought that it's quote sticker shock. I don't necessarily see it as much. I certainly think it's different than what other people have done before, but no one's done this attempt to have a supporting company.
I want to tell you why a lot of people do think that it's a sticker shock, because at the current value of Chia XCH's 21 million pre-farm, at being modest at today's price, and I'm just going to round it off to like $60, that's equivalent to $1.26 billion. You see that calculator right there? I took that as the 21 million pre-farm right here times the $60, and that's $1.2 billion. I'll round this off and say $1.3 billion. That's
kind of immediately capitalized. And it's important to know the company's valuation is going to follow the coin price and not vice versa. I think a lot of
key thing. I'm going to play that back.
The company's valuation is going to follow the coin price and not vice versa. I think a lot of folks have a sense that somehow the stock market will set the coin price. I think it's going to work almost exactly the opposite way.
Guys, take that into consideration. And I wrote it down because that was a huge explanation to the people who keep saying that XCH prices does not matter now and it's the development and the team. Trust me, if there's no price to a coin or a value enough, the team is not going to be there to make anything for you, especially Bram and Gene and the rest of the guys who are on this Chia dev team. What are you going to think? They're going to get paid peanuts? No, of course not. So remember that quote, company valuation is going to follow the coin price, not vice versa. What the hell does that mean exactly? The company is going to be worth based on what XCH prices are. If XCH prices are 50 cents, what does that leave the company to be worth, right? So obviously they want the coin price to go higher than what it is, not lower, and not guys saying that, oh, the XCH price doesn't matter right now. I'll just farm more, or I'll get more if people quit and the net space drops and the time to win is eliminated or whatever it is. I mean, come on. That doesn't work that way. You need valuation. You need the company to get to the next level, not by the price coming down. Now, if the price comes down, then who's going to buy the stock? He even said it himself. The stock is not going to drive the XCH price. It's XCH that's going to drive the stock price. Without the XCH, there is no company. There is no Chia, right? Let's just say hypothetically, if Chia hits zero and stays there, that's it. They're done. 21 million pre-farm times zero is zero.
And, with farmers being the only people who get coins in hand other than some of the lending will do, you guys are going to be the ones who set the price. It's going to be how hard do you hodl?
Apparently not everyone and not anyone wants to hodl, because as soon as they earn the XCHs, they're already liquidating it. So the fact that you're dropping the price even more by getting rid of it Gene's hope was that you guys were gonna hodl this XCH coin, but apparently that's not the case. It's being, I can't even say being spent. It's being sold off to the next guy who's willing to buy it for even lower. So if I took an XCH and I went over here and I sold it at market value of $62.86, which is going up today, which is pretty shocking in my opinion. I sell it off right now, I earn that much, right? And the next guy will come in and say, okay, I'll buy it for that much. And then it just keeps on going and going and going. As the circulation supply increases, then the price keeps on kind of fluctuating depending on how much anyone is willing to pay for it. All right, so that's key. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention, the other day I did a video about the whole pre-farm stuff. What I wanted to really point out was in this top holders, I pointed out, all right, let's forget about Chia Network having the 21 million pre-farm, that there's a lot of guys here that's holding XCHs. Some of you came and told me like, oh, it could be some exchanges or it could be some pool operators. That's fine and all, but really? That many pools and exchanges? This is a list of 50. Now there's more to this, all right? Obviously there's more because supposedly there's about 200 something thousand nodes across the world. Just within the top 48, all right, minus the 2, which is the top, you know, Chia Network guys, just the top 48, them alone is holding 1 million XCHs. 1 million. Current circulation supply is 3.6 million. That means the other 2.6 million, it's divided across the other 200,000 plus nodes. You know, there's a lot of things to look at. I mean, a lot of people are saying, oh, the price doesn't matter. If the price doesn't matter, then why hold so many? Or you're trying to hold more so you have more value to it because the price is so low. I mean, a lot of people, it all comes down to greed, right? Like if you had $1,000 in your pocket, you want to flip that and make it 2,000, make it 5,000, make it 10,000. It's all about money, right? It's always that. Coin XCH price will set the company's valuation. Based on that idea, the fact that, let's just say they're still trying to go public and they're still trying to convince the SEC and, you know, whatever it is that they need to do to get this IPO going, they're going to look at the charts of the price of XCHs. You have a strategic reserve, it's been dropping. How is that reliable? All within 1 year. It's going to be a tough sale, my honest opinion, to go IPO. Then that's the problem with it.
Other question, somewhat related. Hey, what happens if you guys get bought? Obviously, because it's a public company, you can't say necessarily no to doing the best thing in the shareholders' interest, but you are doing the best thing in the shareholders' interest. And, you know, we're going to be very careful with what those shareholder interests are because the company's view is very aligned with the mass adoption of Chia. So whatever continues to create that mass adoption and creates the trust that drives that mass adoption is what the company's going to do.
So in short, as soon as he said that, you know, I had to come back and revisit all this. So because it's a public company, you can't stop anyone from buying it. So Bitcoin maxis can actually buy up a large portion of the shares of Chia and have a say in it. Honestly, they can if someone's willing to actually do that. But I'm just putting it out there that that is possible. Not that it's like it's a private company. You can't come in if we don't agree. You can't be on the board or whatever it is. They actually, if you have enough shares, you have a voice in the company. Now, that's pretty sick, right?
So assuming we succeed wildly, isn't it a little scary to have so much value locked up in a for-profit corporation? A couple of different points about that. First of all, in many ways, about the only thing that is safe to have a bunch of value in is a public company running by what are the shareholder best practices. And we plan to adopt exactly those. A majority outside board, annual board or director elections. You know, the shareholders are going to be able to, change the bylaws just like shareholders can. What we expect over time is for our shareholder base to get quite wide. Also, we, over the long term, don't necessarily want to have all the Chia sitting on our balance sheet either. And that's what's great about the public company form is we can actually use it to distribute the Chia either, waves or slowly but surely, quarterly. There's a lot of different tools we can use to get Chia out of the company and into circulation, but in a measured manner, right? It's, not something that like we think we should be getting a lot of Chia out there anytime soon, but a year from now, maybe a very different story, depending on, what's the market look like? How deep is it? What's the deployment look like? Those are the kind of factors we think about when we think about doing.
Did you hear the fact that he said that if it goes IPO and there's some driving factors that would take the pre-farm out and use it to whatever at their discretion of the board and the company, right? I mean, this pre-farm thing is still kind of like up in the air right now. They haven't decided what they're going to do with it. They can say anything you want, but it's ultimately up to the board and who's on the board. I haven't found that out yet.
Mitch, a bunch of questions are very, hey, when's the IPO going to be? Obviously, we can't predict it, but can you give a sense of what those, factors are and kind of what we hope for, what's maybe likely, with the caveat that, we're all predicting the future and it may not work out that way?
Having done a number of IPOs as CFO and having done dozens and dozens as a lawyer in my first career, IPOs are really successful. IPOs aren't totally driven by the company. They are largely driven, timing of them, by macro and exogenous factors. You don't say, I want to go public this summer. And sometimes you hear an entrepreneur say, I'm gonna go public next year. You know that they haven't either been well advised or have never been through the process before. You can have windows where you target, but our goal is to, one, not go public to raise needed capital. We will be sufficiently capitalized that won't be the reason we're doing.
Being sufficiently capitalized means XCH prices needs to go up. All right. The fact that it's going down, the company's worth less because this 21 million pre-farm just isn't worth as much as they anticipate it to be, or it could potentially be, because the more the XCH price is worth, that means the company is worth that much. Remember, again, we're going back to Gene's statement and saying that XCH prices drives the company valuation.
Doing an IPO. Companies who go public to raise money because they're running out of money face a bargaining position with the market and they're on the wrong side of it. And they get taken advantage of.
So that's pretty much what they're trying to eliminate, is not going IPO to raise money, but coming in as an IPO with a lot of money. That's the difference there. So what he's saying here is that if they came in IPO, trying to go IPO with a public company and try to raise capital, they can be manipulated. They can be told what to do because an investor comes in and says, oh, I'll buy this many shares. I'll actually buy you all out. You have to do what I want you to do. And that's not in the position of what they're trying to accomplish.
We will be sufficiently capitalized that will not be the reason we do it. When we go public, we will look at macro factors, health of the digital currency market. Right now, for example, where we launched would actually be a great time to do an IPO. Price of all the major digital currencies trading very high.
I think that was one of the goals that they were trying to accomplish during this time when they said that they were going IPO, was really to capitalize on the uptrend of everything else in the crypto market. The prices were driving up like crazy, but coming out now at this bearish market, if they went IPO, maybe they'll time it even better when, all the other stuff would just pop back up again. But if you were to come out during the time when everyone was speculating so much money and SpaceX and, the Virgin Galactic was going out into space and Amazon was competing with all that space stuff, it was driving crypto stuff at the same time up to the moon, right? Because all it was talking about, space to the moon and crypto. Three things that were driving the market.
A lot of demand with new interest by institutions, the very institutions who participate in most IPOs.
All right, so he went into more details of the whole IPO. This is the AMA straight from Chia Network, and this was the white paper discussion that they went into full detail. I do have a couple more clips I want to play here.
There's a question that's kind of like, well, won't your public equity price not necessarily track the coins on balance sheet? Mitch, you want to take the first stab and I'll take the second stab?
As a public company, we'll have no absolute direct control over our share price other than performance. But think of Chia, if you're a gold mining company and you've got a bunch of gold in the ground, that real estate that you own, the value of your public company in general fluctuates with the price of gold, even though you're not selling it, even though you haven't even extracted it yet. The fact that there's potential extraction, potential energy there, potential causes the market to say the value of this land includes the mineral estate beneath it, and that's gold, and gold's trading at this price. We expect our stock price to correlate roughly with the ups and downs of the price of Chia.
Say that again.
We expect our stock price to correlate roughly with the ups and downs of the price of Chia. To the extent that it doesn't, we can always go into the market and kind of correct that ourselves by using Chia to buy back stock.
Whoa, right? I mean, those are the certain things that I probably, when I watched it the first time, didn't really pick up on, and now I'm rewatching it again. And I am going to be doing that with a lot of these videos because, like I said, the internet does not forget. What he's saying here is that if the company seems to be failing off and the stock price is going down, they would do a company buyback, which is driving up the price of the stock back to where they feel comfortable. Now, is that realistic? Is that a good idea? A lot of people would debate that company buyback options are just a scam to increase the price, because that gives sort of like an insider information where, oh, the price is going to drop, and if we do this right now, we buy it back, you know, drive up the price, and once we drive up the price, people are going to start seeing it and they're going to buy back into it, and then we can let it go back to a normal price that we think it should be worth. You know, you can say what you want, but that's my take on it.
Stock crashes for some reason. People aren't even paying attention to what we do or what our balance sheet looks like, but we're just part of a wave of selling. Could happen in a market. We can go back in using Chia, buy shares of stock that are being sold at a depressed price to the point where we bring it back to the level where it reflects some percentage of the strategic reserve. So we have that tool.
And again, that strategic reserve currently, let's just say if Chia was IPO'd and they have stocks right now, if they saw that the stock price was dropping and it's not correlating with the XCH prices, because remember, Gene said XCH prices drive the company. And if it doesn't match, then there's a problem. And what they're going to do if the company is dropping, they're going to buy back the stocks to the equivalent point of how much strategic reserve is worth. Currently, right now, it's $1.26 billion. Just putting it out there.
Which a lot of public companies don't have, to actually go in there and repurchase stock if we think that the market is not properly valuing the stock.
I would say that we don't yet really know exactly what that correlation will be. There are some arguments that we may actually trade at a slight discount because we'll be burning cash, and that's completely legitimate. You know, the cash itself has value, so we're going to be sitting on cash that we would have raised during the offering process. At some point, that may flip the other direction and actually be that you're getting the future profits from the software company. You're getting the future profits from the software company, and therefore we trade at a premium to our kind of basic, valuation.
That was a term in there that kind of caught me off guard, and I picked it up and I was like, what is Chia exactly? Is it really a cryptocurrency company, or is it a software company? He just said it. He literally just said it here. Maybe I read into it a little too much than most people would, and that's one of the reasons why I'm putting a video out. But this is part one. We're going to go into the second day that they had white paper discussion, which was February 12th. All right. So the first one was on February 11th, 2021, Chia Business White Paper Zoom. And this is a continuation to the Chia White Paper Zoom, February 12th. Now, this one, I'm not going to pick out too much. This video is running longer than it should to discuss why the XCH prices does still matter, and I'm just trying to prove my point. That's all. I don't want to argue with the guys who say price is not everything, the dev team is a great team and they're building out this whole entire project. Great, right, it is true, they are. But if there's no value to any of this, what are they doing it for free? Are they willing to do it for free? Is that their hope?
Another set of questions are, hey, this is an interesting model around the Red Hat business model. Can you tell me a little more about how that works and what you're going to do there? And I'm going to field this one if that's okay. Linux was a viable competitor to Windows NT back in the day, Solaris as well. And those were kind of the two things that were being run in enterprises and financial institutions. But until there was an entity that, the IT buyer could point to and call up and yell, and the old joke is a single throat to choke, you didn't see Goldman adopting Red Hat. Well, pardon me, Linux. But you did see Goldman adopt Red Hat when Red Hat was there to support that adoption. And we see, I mentioned this in the white paper, we have a very barbell market. It's either the smallest grassroots, crazy, cool new developer, or it's a national bank at a G30 country. And in that other larger case, they want to have that.
Here's my opinion on that. Whether they're going public or staying private, being acquired by a bigger entity taking over Chia or adapting Chia into their own organization. I don't care who it is. It could be Microsoft, it could be Tesla, it could be whoever you think it might be that big to acquire a company like this. I don't know what would make of Chia. I mean, I think that's their goal, is to be bigger than what they are now, not just supporting a bunch of 200,000 nodes farmers across the world. Like, I don't think they really care about me, that's for sure, whether I drop off this farming Chia or not. But they may care if a large percentage of us start ignoring them. As a community, if we all decided to just turn off our farming for one day as a protest to the company, they will see that impact. Whether you believe that or not, that's up to you, but it's gonna happen. One day, if this company, Chia, does not do what the people think they were going to do, or, I mean, they still have the 21 millionth pre-farm. They can do whatever they want. As discussed many, many times, they would use it accordingly. There's no control of when they can't use it or when they can use it. They just didn't say that, will they use it all at one shot, or they're just going to break it up.
Assuming that we do get public and get effective comfort with the regulatory environment, what's the actual mechanism that we're going to use to get Chia coins, to the shareholders? And I think that's probably me, because what we're probably going to do is actually make a colored coin equivalent of Chia equity, so that you can go through our transfer agent and turn in your physical certificate and get an actual digital certificate. For people who don't do that, then you'll just go to the transfer agent and prove that you're the shareholder in question, and then they will accept a wallet transmit address that they would then send the Chia to.
Yeah, worth reiterating that we're not distributing any actual Chia coins.
This is if we were to do a dividend is the question, right? How would that work, right?
A dividend distribution, meaning you earn XCHs, but you don't actually get XCHs. You get a colored coin that's equivalent to an XCH. A lot of talk here, a lot of technical talk, a lot of strategies that they're trying to implement. Haven't seen all of it yet. Of course, the IPO has not happened. I watched the whole thing all over again. There were mentions of using the pre-farm to give out, XCHs on a special holiday, right? Or double the farming rewards on a particular day. That was said in these AMAs. Whether that will happen or not, obviously you can't hold their word for it, but things were said, but not everything is always gonna be promised. It's, a lot of hypothetical. They didn't even know the direction that it was gonna take. They honestly thought that, they would have been IPO a year from February till now, but that still hasn't happened yet. The last thing I want to mention here is that they also said, and I didn't find the clip exactly to the point, but because I was rewatching everything and I was going back and forth, they said, all right, Gene actually said that by the year 21 that they plan to liquidate all the pre-farm Chia coins to do anything, whatever it is that they were planning to do, whether it's invest or dividends for shareholders, all that stuff. 21 years, mind you, 21 years from now. I mean, I don't know that, I haven't looked, and I'm not even gonna bother. All I know is by the time I'm 21, another 21 years, by the time I'm 20, in the next 20 years from now, I would be like close. I mean, I'll be retired. I wouldn't even be doing any of this stuff, but that's when they would potentially liquidate the entire 21 million pre-farm. Whether that's going to be true or not, I don't know. But basically, this video was to really say that for you guys who say that the price of XCHs does not matter, try asking Gene that same question and see how he responds behind the doors, not in front of a camera. And I'm pretty sure he will want the price of XCH. Anyone on the team of Chia would want the price of XCH to go up and not settle to where everyone anticipated to think that it was going to be worth no more than $20, right? So especially if the XCH prices predict and forecasts the IPO price of the company, because they're holding the 21 million pre-farm. Obviously, the price of it being more will be beneficial. If you enjoy this, please hit that like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure to come back.